Hello students, we have already talked about the background of experimental research, the controls that are used in experimental research. Today we'll talk about the experimental research design, and we made it one to make it very simple. Now, experimental research is a method of research, and within that, how can we conduct the experimental research that includes the design? Now, to decide the design, we need to ask ourselves, will there be control group or will there be only experimental group? Will there be one group? Will there be two groups? How many subjects will there be? Will there be 10 subjects or 15 or 20? And how the subjects will be selected or how the subjects will be assigned to the groups? Will each group be pre-tested? Will there be pre-test and post-test, or will there only be post-test? How will the obtained data be analyzed? What are the statistics will be used? What statistics will be used to analyze the data? And what are the factors which may affect the internal validity and what factors which may affect the external validity? So with this question in mind, we can decide which design we can adopt when we do our experimental research in education. The experimental investigation can be conducted on groups and individuals. Accordingly, the structure of the design changes. When we do on the group of individuals or the learners, that's called group experimental design. And we select a subject, then it's called single subject experimental design. However, the group experimental design can also be single group design or parallel group design. You can understand from the point itself, the single group is design talks about only experimental group, whereas parallel group design shows that there will be two groups or more than two groups in our experiment. So let us say we have decided group. Now group experimental designs are further classified based on the number of intervening independent variable that we manipulate. If there is only one independent variable that can be manipulated in our experimental research, then it is called single variable design. If there is only one independent variable and we would like to see the impact of this independent variable on the dependent variable, then it's called a single variable design. However, if there are two or more independent variables and at least one independent variable is manipulated, then that is called a factorial design. So we have to be clear how many independent variables we will be manipulating or using it as a treatment in our experimental research design. Let us say we selected single variable design. That means we have one variable which will be manipulated. And we have to keep in mind different other variables, intervening variables, which may affect our experimental research. Here, the single variable design are further classified into three different experimental design based on the degree of control. We have already talked about different methods of control. We have already mentioned that the control are used to check the intervening variable affecting the relationship between the independent variable and dependent variable. So the degree of control, how much of check can be used in our research. Based on that, there are three different experimental research. The first is pre-experimental research design. This has low degree of control. Second is true experimental design. It has high degree of control. And the third is quasi-experimental design, which has a medium degree of control over the intervening variable. Now, let us talk in detail one by one. Pre-experimental design. We have already said pre-experimental design has low control over the different factors which affects the internal validity and external validity. Now, what are those pre-experimental design? This pre-experimental design can involve one group or two groups. One group meaning only experimental research, or two groups means control group and experimental group, where the groups are post-tested only or both pre-tested and post-tested. On the basis of that, there are a few designs like one-shot case studies, one group pre-test post-test design, static group comparison design. I want to explain one short case study. Please remember, one short case study is a pre-experimental design. Pre-experimental design has low control over the factors which affects the validity. Pre-experimental design, please remember, has only one independent variable to be manipulated. And please remember, pre-experimental design are conducted in a group. Okay, so one short case study, we have decided there is a group and we've decided our independent variable. So let us see, our independent variable is which is used as a treatment is a 10 weeks of instruction on reading with a new technique. Okay, this first step is we have just one group only, so we don't have control group and experimental group, we just have experimental group, and we provide a treatment of 10 weeks of instruction on reading with a new technique. What is the aim? To influence the dependent variable, that is reading comprehension skill of the student. Let us say we are working this conducting the experiment in class 5 students. Then after 10 weeks, we conduct a post-test, and reading test is conducted, or a question is used to see the result of the learners. The aim is to measure the change on the dependent variable. What is the dependent variable? Reading comprehension skill. What is the treatment? The new instruction of reading, new technique of reading is the treatment. Okay, so here in one short case study, we have one group, we decide one group, class 5, one group, and we have a treatment ready of 10 weeks of instruction on reading with new technique. After 10 weeks, we do a post-test. So this group does not have pre-test, it has only post-test, it does not have a control group to compare. So that's why this design has a high chances of other factors affecting the validity of experimental research. That's why one short case study is one of the pre-experimental research design, which we can do the research. However, we have to be very, very careful of the factors which influence the validity of the research. Next is one group pretest post-test design. From here only you can understand there is only one group, one experimental group, one class, okay? And first what we do pretest, reading test, okay? And we do a treatment of 10 weeks of instruction on reading with new technique. And after 10 weeks, we conduct a post-test to see whether there is change in the score, whether the learners have learned the skill of reading with comprehension. So in this group, in this design, we have a one group, but it is pre-tested and post-tested. But also, there is a high chances of biasness when we select. There is a high chances of other factors like maturation, like other factors affecting the validity, the history or the simultaneous program affecting the research. So that's why one group pre-test post-test design also falls under pre-experimental research design. The third, these are examples. The third is static group comparison design. It has group 1, that is no new treatment. We also call it a control group, and group 2 as a treatment group. It is also called an experimental group. So it has two groups. However, there is no pre-test. We decide the two section, and in one section or one group of children, we do the treatment, that is reading with new technique, and we conduct a post-test. In another group, we don't use the new technique and see the post-test. By and large, if our treatment is very good, children of group 2 should read well, because they would read well with comprehension, because they were taught the technique of reading with comprehension skill, isn't it, in the post-test. And in the control group, all right, it depends on the student's ability and the teacher's teaching that they may develop that skill. However, if the treatment has made an impact, we can see the post-test of the group 2. So in this design, there is group 1 to which may be used as a comparison which may be used as a comparison for knowing the impact of the treatment on the validity, on the dependent variable of the experimental research. So in this way, we can conduct one short case study, pretest post-test group, one group pretest post-test design, and static group comparison design. These are the designs. These are not absolute design. There are more designs. These kinds of designs are used if we want to conduct pre-experimental design. However, we have to keep in our mind when we conduct experimental design that pre-experimental design, this design are prone to be affected by the different factors which affects the validity of experimental research. In the next session, we will talk about the true experimental design and the quasi-experimental design. Thank you so much.